have not noticed, we are at an altitude of 12,600 feet, which means we are above the natural tree line. After a certain altitude, trees no longer grow. In fact, you can see there's only shrubbery, grass, and that's it. Because trees need a certain amount of oxygen in order to exist. So, there never were any trees up there that they could have all, cut off, and that is why there's no forest there anymore. There never was a forest up there. Okay, so then they will suggest, fine, the trees or the logs of trees or trunks, they were brought in from elsewhere. Now, I told you that we are in the Altiplano here, the Bolivian highlands. This plateau extends for 1,000 miles in every direction. So hypothetically, let's assume that they did transport thousands and thousands of logs from another place, from a lower altitude, and then they used those wooden rollers that they got, that they imported from 1,000 miles away, which is already a stupid proposition, but let's just roll with it, shall we? So let's just hypothetically say that they did have access to wooden rollers. Have you ever just thought, see, and nobody does this anymore, have you ever thought what happens if you were to lower an 80-ton block on a bed of wooden rollers? Nobody's done that. Nobody has thought about, what does that mean? Well, I can show you. This right here happens. This is a 2-ton block. 2 tons. This is what happens. So just go home with your fucking wooden rollers. And on top of that, not only was it wooden rollers, but of course they pulled it with dental floss. And all of Pumapunku was carved with nothing else but chicken bones. That is what they are suggesting. And everybody's like, wooden rollers? Dental floss? Chicken bones? Yes, of course. Of course. It was written by some dude that has a degree on the wall that says archaeology. And because of that, we must agree because he has a degree in archaeology. This is why I'm so fucking proud that I do not, I repeat, I do not have a degree in archaeology. Because people are always surprised, well, how come this guy, he claims to be an expert in ancient history, yet he doesn't have a degree in ancient history? You know why? Because my mind has not been compromised. That is why. And what is incredibly wonderful, shut up. What is incredibly wonderful, and that to me is vindication, is the fact that, when I still consider myself a young kid, but I'm no longer in my early 20s. But there are people now in their early 20s who have just graduated from school, from university, and a lot of them are fans of ancient aliens, and many of them have graduated in anthropology, in archaeology, in ethnology, and they are huge fans of ancient aliens. Now imagine what that means. Those people, those lovely kids, are and will be the professors of tomorrow. Which means there is a paradigm shift going on right now. This stuff will be accepted by the mainstream soon, because those 22-year-olds one day will be 42-year-olds. Trust me, it's not that bad. It's how old you feel in your heart, not in And so, that is the greatest type of vindication that I could have ever imagined, because when I went to conferences or lectures like this with Eric von Daniken or whatever, you have to remind yourself, or I'm here to tell you, the average age of these lectures was 102. And now I look out into the audience and there's a whole bunch of very hot and young people here, which is awesome because that never was the case. And so the fact that this whole bunch of young, enlightened beings watch stuff like this and they're like, you know what? My archaeology professor has yelled at me because I should not pay any attention to any of this. And you know what? I think my archaeology professor was wrong. Because something did happen, and we're trying to figure out what that was. So, it's just, incredible stuff. Again, I am not saying that our ancestors didn't know how to cut rock, because obviously they did.